Hi guys, Amy here. Today I'm really excited to hop on live and talk about this topic, and that is the ability and importance of being able to articulate your weaknesses or areas of improvement in the interview process. I get this question quite a bit, or concern rather, from candidates and also coaching clients on how to answer this question. It can feel quite stressful for candidates. But first, let's talk about why a hiring manager might want to ask this question. And I think it's a really great question to ask. And the reason why is it demonstrates if you are able to share your weaknesses or areas of improvement, however feels good for you to look at it. This demonstrates self-awareness, and also if we're not all going to be good at everything, and if you are aware of what you're not good at, one, you can work toward improving it. In order to solve a problem, you have to know that the problem is there. Otherwise, you're not going to make any improvements there. So that's one reason why being able to share your weaknesses is a strength. And the second reason is it can help you in better prioritizing your time. So knowing what you are good at and what you are not good at can really help you with your time management. And this, if you are on a team, let's say you're interviewing for a sales job where you're going to be on a sales team, you can, let's say you're not good at this one thing, whatever that might be for you. You can spend hours trying to get good at that one thing, or you can recognize, okay, this is not my strength, and you can utilize your resources and say, okay, but I see that so-and-so on the team, or you can ask your manager if you're new to the team, this is an area that I struggle with. Is there somebody on the team that is really strong in this area that I could utilize as a resource, and maybe I can model their process? And this is going to help you save your time, So for example, I'll give you one of my personal examples, and you may have heard me talk about this before. I'm very organized, but I'm not good at designing methods by which to organize, right? So when I first started recruiting, I was on a team, and I recognized that I was really struggling with trying to organize everything. I had all of these jobs and different managers that I was working with, and different emails from candidates and managers coming through, and I just felt overwhelmed. And I quickly recognized, okay, I need a system, I need a process, and I'm not good at figuring out in my brain how to design this organizational system. So I asked the leadership who is strong in this area, and they told me who to reach out to. And she was kind enough to give me a little bit of her time. And I think most people will be. People love to help, especially, or I'm an example, not especially, but that's, I love helping. So if I'm good at something, if I have value to bring there, I want to help. And I think that you'll find a lot of people are that way. If you, especially successful people that you want to have in your circle, they want to help if they know that they have something that they're good at that they can help you with. So you can save so much time by either delegating, depending on your situation, or using your resources and finding somebody on your team that is strong in an area that you are not, and then you can adopt their method. Right. And I've got tons of other examples, but I think that gets the point across. But if you don't recognize, this is what I'm good at, this is what I'm not good at, then how are you going to solve the problem, and how are you going to manage your time? You could end up wasting a lot of time. Right. So in the ability to, one, be aware of your areas of weakness, your weaknesses or areas of improvement. This is a strength because it can help you manage your time, and it can help you to work to solve the problem. I'll give you another kind of silly example, but I belong to a fitness studio in my neighborhood, and no complaints. I absolutely love it there. I've been going there for years. And before COVID, they had a water fountain, with filtered water, and then they took it out once they reopened during COVID, and then, they closed down and reopened. Anyhow, they took it out, and they just reinstalled a new water fountain. And I was so excited. I get excited about little things like that. But I go to fill up my water with this filtered water, and it's coming out in this tiny little dribble. Would take like 20 minutes to sit there. It wasn't working properly, right? So I asked them about it, and nobody seemed to be doing anything about it. I asked one of the managers, and they said, well, we did call them. They came, I think they said, we're working on it. And I always like to dig deeper. I don't like gray areas, because if it's not clear, then I have more questions. I know that we're not going to resolve the issue without if we're not getting, right to the issue. So I asked what that meant. We're working on it. And he said, well, we called them and they did come out and they said that it's a water pressure issue with the building. And I thought, what does that mean? Clearly it's not. The sinks and everything else work fine. So we're just not acknowledging this problem. We're just going to let it go at that. We're not going to call back. Anyway, I was annoyed because we're not acknowledging the problem. And so it's not going to get fixed. Okay, so fine. So we don't have the water fountain. I'll just go back to doing what I was doing before. But things like that bug me enough to where I'm going to ask deeper questions because I know that there's a problem. This is why I love problem solving and I'm good at it because I'm going to get to the deeper issue. I'm not perfect at it in every situation, but in order to solve a problem, or improve, you have to acknowledge the problem. So anyhow, I was so happy a couple weeks ago when I went in and to work out and they had an out of order sign on the water fountain. So I said, yes, it's going to get fixed now because they are acknowledging the problem. So this is like a everyday life kind of thing that this tip can help in not just in the interview process, but in everyday life. In order to solve a problem, we have to acknowledge it. So you may not necessarily, you might improve a little bit, but maybe you're not ever going to be good, really good naturally at that thing. I mean, with practice, we're going to get better. But if you're aware of the problem, then this also demonstrates perseverance because you can start to try to work toward overcoming that problem or improving. And I really like the leveraging your resources point because this just helps in time management. It also helps to create a more cohesive team. So the manager is going to be aware of the team members' strengths and weaknesses or areas of improvement. So if you come in, they're interviewing you and they learn, oh, this candidate is really strong here. They're not so great at this here. They could improve here. I could connect them with so-and-so on the team. So anyway, my point is the managers are going to be aware of the different areas of strengths and weaknesses on their team. And you can create a more cohesive team and better appreciation for one another if you are leveraging your resources and going to the person that's strong in an area that you're not. And then also you're likely going to have some strengths where you can help somebody on the team, and that's going to make you feel valued. Okay. And I want to talk about the double-edged sword theory. This is something that we have all heard of that I think we probably don't often give a lot of thought to. I do. I think it's really cool. And I like to write a whole screenplay and I'm calling it that's the premise. And I actually call it double edged. We'll see if I do something with it one of these days. I'm sure it needs a lot of improvement, but the double-edged sword theory is like we've got good qualities and we've got bad qualities. But basically, the concept is your strengths can sometimes hold you back to the same degree that they can propel you forward. And just by how you can kind of leverage this and optimize whatever the quality is by becoming aware. So I'll give you an example and I'll tie it back into how this relates to the topic here, being able to articulate your areas of weakness during the interview process. So I'll give one of my examples. One of my, I think people would consider it a negative, maybe not everybody, not me, but I see the negative piece aspect of it. So one of my qualities is that I'm very direct. And so this can be good because I'm going to get to the point. I'm going to be efficient. I'm going to communicate efficiently and effectively by saying exactly what it is I mean. This can be a bad thing because you want to, like if you're super direct, you can be off-putting and then make some people feel uncomfortable. So just by number one, I think this is a positive confidence, self-esteem boosting exercise to think about your own double-edged sword. What are some of your strengths and find the weakness in that same, the opposing weakness in that same strength and vice versa. Take one of your weaknesses and find the strength in that. That's going to help you appreciate yourself. It's going to help you elevate your self-awareness. And it's important. Hiring managers are looking for awareness, self-awareness and social awareness. Again, as I often like to say, how you are presenting yourself in the interview process is how you're going to show up in the role. And the more self and socially aware you are, the more effective you are going to be. But if you're not sure what your areas of weakness might be, do some brainstorming. One thing you can do is think about some of your strengths, write them down, and then try to see if you can find the opposing weakness within that strength. And it's going to help you appreciate yourself, but it's also going to help you be able to see, okay, well, here's where I could improve. Here's where this strength sometimes holds me back. Like another example would be if you are often concerned about making others happy, and maybe you could label yourself as a people pleaser, at least in some scenarios. Where is this holding you back? Well, if you're always putting others first, how are you going to identify and reach your own goals, right? So I think this is a good exercise, and it can help you try to figure out what some of your weaknesses might be. And it's not a bad thing to have a weakness. We're all works in progress, and we're not going to be good at everything. And a good manager knows that their team is going to be varied in with their strengths and their weaknesses. And then, I talked about ways that the manager can then help the team leverage their strengths and weaknesses to create a more cohesive team, and then also better appreciation for one another and even for yourself. And if this, I'll share a silly story if it maybe makes you feel a little bit better and takes some of the pressure off, better about being able to identify and articulate your weaknesses. So when I was interviewing for my very first medical sales role, I was pretty green. I had a strong work ethic, a lot of drive, a lot of energy, positive attitude, and I did get that job and do really well in that job. But there were a lot of things that I could have improved upon. But I got this question from the hiring manager. He asked me, shout out to Luke. I love Luke. He was just one of my absolute favorite managers and a really good resource. And he wasn't judgmental. He made me feel very comfortable during the interview, and he could have not with the way I answered this question. He asked me, what are my areas of weakness, or I don't remember exactly how he asked it. I think I said nothing. I literally said, I don't have any. And he, this was almost 20 years ago, so give me a little credit. I've grown a lot since then. And he said out loud in a joking way, FOS, as if he was writing in his notes full of, what. And anyway, yeah, so I didn't know how to answer this question back then either. But looking back, I definitely see where my areas of weakness were. And I also can see how I could have leveraged somebody on my team who was strong in that area to improve. Okay, so self-awareness creates change. And hopefully with what I've covered here, this helps you better understand how to not, I don't want you to be afraid of this question. I want you to get excited about answering this question. And in doing so, just being yourself, being genuine. This is what I'm good at. This is not what I'm good at, or this is what I'm not good at. Here's what I'm doing to work on it. This shows awareness. This shows perseverance. And if you can find somebody, use your resources. That is, resourcefulness is a really strong trait, and your hiring manager, the interviewer, is going to really appreciate that. And so I think that you don't have to be scared of this question. You can get excited about this question and do some brainstorming, and even, of course, practice articulating if you like, but don't be afraid of this question. This is, it's so important to understand yourself on a deeper level. It's going to help you be more impactful. It's going to help you be more effective. And it's going to make not just the interview process and your job easier, once you move into that role. This also makes life easier. If we realize, I'm sure you have times where you feel like you're just spinning your wheels and you're not making any progress. You want to pay attention to how you're feeling. Does your effort, that you're putting in, if you're putting in effort and nothing is happening despite your efforts, it's going to feel more like a struggle, versus if you are putting in effort and you're making progress, then it feels like a challenge. But sometimes you want to pay attention to, am I just spinning my wheels here and going down deeper into a rabbit hole, and I'm not learning anything and I'm not making any progress? Well, maybe you're not good at that thing, and that's okay. And you can hire a coach, right? I've used coaches, business coaches. I did a coaching program to help me figure out how to self-publish. So, I have content for days. I'm always thinking of new content to make videos on, to write about. So I had the content for my books, but I didn't have a process. And I know what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. So then I'm going to go seek out help for that. And you can do the same thing on your team, once you do step into that role. I think that's everything that I wanted to share on this topic. Oh, it also shows, I guess, a couple other things. The ability to to speak to your weaknesses or areas of improvement shows that you are solution oriented. And this can also show that you're positive thinking, additional qualities that hiring managers want on their team. Oh, and coachability. I already looked and then forgot the other one. If you know that you want to improve on something, and this could be no matter where you are, what level in your career, most managers want somebody who's coachable. Okay, so I hope that helped. If you got some value from the video, I invite you to like and subscribe to the channel. This will help me to continue to grow the channel. And if you are looking for more support, maybe more hands-on support or more detailed support throughout the interview process, I have a couple ways that I can help. You are welcome to book a call on my calendar, and we can see if we're a good fit to potentially work together for interview coaching. And then, I also have a course, Attract the Opportunity, Win the Interview mini course. It is packed with tips and supportive tools to help you and guidance throughout each step in the interview process. So that's available on my website, amyleemiller.com. And if you are watching the replay and you have a question or comment, please feel free to leave it and I will come back and answer your question. Thanks for watching. I hope that was fun for you guys, and I will see you soon.